What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Big Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Brinson. I'm your host. Week 16 best bets. Week 16. Insane. We're already here. It's beginning to look a lot like Priscomas. Pete Prisco and RJ White joining me.
Yeah, because I'm the most festive human being there is. But I'm as cold as the bomb cyclone right now.
Oh, I'm ice, man. I've sort of written off the year as far as picks goes. I'm not throwing back on anybody at this point.
If there was any person that I would imagine actually celebrates Festivus, it'd be Pete. The airing of grievances.
We were
wrestling people that you disagree with. Yeah.
Brady Quinn was like yesterday on this podcast, of course. So the Brady Quinn football show was casting the Chris I guess Scrooge. We were doing Scrooge. Like Breach would be Tiny Tim. And we were trying to decide like is Pete, am I Scrooge or is Pete Scrooge? And I said that Wilson could possibly be Scrooge, and Brady was like, Wilson's like the nicest guy. I don't know why you guys say he's so grumpy. I'm like, because he's just nice to you. He's like kissing your ass. Who would you be? Would you be Scrooge, or would you be like, oh, I know what it was. I was like, can you imagine how terrifying Pete would be as a ghost of like a Christmas past if like Pete showed up in like torn up flip flops and like a like shredded shirt. It was like, oh, like it changed. Oh my God, you'd be a petrifying ghost.
Well, does it scare you? Good, then I'll be that. No, I was saying I'm so cold that I was on the wrong end of the Patriots play the other day.
Oh God, I think I might have been too. So we got some weather this weekend. A lot of weather. When you're making your bets, that should come into play. I'm certain it'll come into play. RJ, by the way, if you there are 8 games I think affected on the 9 if you count the Thursday night game that we don't talk about because we record on Thursdays and this goes into the podcast machine on Fridays. Highly recommend you go to cbssports.com and check out. I've got it open, but I don't know what it's actually called. Just Google NFL Week 16 weather. RJ, Chris Towers, and Doug Clausen did a great job of breaking down the games from a betting and fantasy perspective that are coming to play. I mean, it's going to matter a ton this weekend, right, RJ? I mean, obviously from like fantasy, it's going to be a huge difference maker because you're going to make decisions based on some of these weather matchups. Like I have a Geno Smith, and I could pick up Gardner Minshew, who's going to be playing indoors. Like that's the move to make, right?
Yeah, you could do that. I think Gardner's pretty good bet here. I mean, that game probably isn't going to be too bad. It's going to be cold, but it's not going to be that windy in Kansas City. So
yeah, I looked. That wasn't going to be bad in that game.
Okay,
yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that one.
So would you go Gardner or Geno Smith? That was my long-winded way of asking like a fantasy question.
Probably Geno.
Okay,
me too.
Okay. All right, good to know. But yeah, check out that guide. It's a complete guide to how games will be impacted by the winter storm, the bomb cyclone. There gonna be some. I love weather games. I hate
them. I hate them.
Really?
Yeah, it ruins football.
What I don't love is this like every 3 years where like every game lands on like Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Like okay, it really like an 8:15 game on Christmas Eve. Come on, show a little respect to Jesus, Goodell. What are you doing, pal?
It seems like every year for the last 5 we've had games, but it's really only been a couple of years.
Yeah, I know it's true. Last week we didn't do so hot.
Oh,
RJ 2-4, me 2-5-1, and Pete 1-3-1. You guys are still 10 for RJ or 11 for Pete above 500. I'm 5 below 500. I would like to get my best bets above 500 for the year. That would be my goal. That's my Christmas Eve resolution or New Year's resolution, whatever you want to call it. We'll start with Giants and Vikings. Vikings -4, over under 48. The last time we saw the Vikings, Pete, they were down 33 points at halftime to Jeff Saturday and the Colts on a Saturday. Jeff Saturday, by the way, fun fact, only coach in NFL history named Saturday to give up a 33-point lead on a Saturday.
I mean, geez, you really went on.
The only coach to ever give up a 33-point lead. Do you think that they can? Do you think the Vikings can get over that? They can roll that momentum into a good game here?
No.
Oh.
No, I do not. I think it's going to be a close game. Remember, when they went to Buffalo and won that game, they came home and got whacked by the Cowboys. I just think the Giants will hang around in this game. The Giants are playing better on defense. Those pass rushers are starting to get to the quarterback. Thibodeau is playing well. And I don't think the Vikings defense is good. And Daniel Jones had a good game last week. I think they'll hang around in this game. And if you're going to give me over a field goal, I'm going to take it. I'll take the Giants plus the 4. Best bet.
Yeah, Minnesota had an awesome comeback win, but their defense struggles against any competent pass offense. Now, you can make qualms whether the Giants have a competent pass offense. They've topped 200 pass yards 3 times all year. But I think Dayball is the X factor there, and he knows how to attack defenses. You have this massive weakness on your defense. I think he could take advantage of that, scheme up some things to do to have success there. And the Giants struggle versus the NFC East. They are 1-3-1 straight up against the NFC East this year, 7-2 outside the division. So maybe it's just that facing these Eagles and Cowboys, these tough defenses, they're not going to be as bad when they go on the road or go somewhere or go outside the division and play a weaker defense like this. Power ratings for me say the line should be Minnesota -5. But I'm at the point that I can't play Minnesota when they're ever over 3. So my lean at 4 is the Giants. I do like Pete's play there.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about 2 teams that love to play one-score games. And, the Vikings, it's weird. We get crap on every Sunday night. We get crap for kind of questioning the Vikings for being whether or not the Vikings are like a great team. And I don't know. I mean, it's like what are they, 10-0 in one-score games? I mean, that's not sustainable. Or even if it's 9-0, it's not sustainable. So it's not like we're saying the Vikings are bad. Clearly, they're good. They've got Kirk Cousins playing really well. Justin Jefferson is a monster, probably going to win Offensive Player of the Year. Dalvin Cook's having a very underrated season. Garrett Bradbury, my guy, playing well. Defense not so great, but like this, you can't win that many one-score games without biting you in the ass at some point. The Giants love to keep things close. If you give me 4 points with the Giants, absolutely, I'll take it. I think people will look at the records here and lean on the Vikings, but as Pete mentioned, the pass rusher for the Giants, Kayvon Thibodeau, man, he is legit. That dude is a prop.
He was the best pass rusher in the draft.
He was, but he had fake attitude problems apparently. So I'll take Giants too. Not a best bet. Falcons at the Ravens. Ravens -7. Over under 36. Desmond Ridder, Snoop Huntley. A total of 25 plays run in this game, maybe, Pete.
Yeah, and I just think this is a bad spot for Ridder. I mean, I like the Ravens. I don't have them as a best bet, but I do have them as a teaser, or I was going to put them. Yeah, I did them as a teaser down to 1. Now it's a half on our line, but or is it? It's 1 because we had it.
We get
7.
1, yeah. We blocked it.
Yeah. So I take the Ravens -1. I just don't think Ridder played well last week, and this is a better defense on the road. The conditions are going to be bad, and I know his offensive line has been much improved, but I think this is a bad matchup for him. So I'll take the Ravens as part of the first part of my teaser -1.
Yeah, the line at 7.5, I think was too high with Lamar trending out again. We've seen that Huntley, while competent, is not going to throw up a ton of points on the board. Baltimore's offense ran all over Cleveland. They still threw 30 passes in that game. It was a terrible game plan for them. So I'm not convinced they'll come into this game and do the right thing. But Ridder did 0 as a passer versus the Saints, and Baltimore's rush defense is elite. So I don't know how Atlanta scores in this game. Atlanta is easier to throw on than pass, or to run on than pass, but Baltimore's pass offense is not dangerous. So I don't know that they're going to get anything in the pass game. Atlanta's defense 11th in rush yards per play. So I think I have to expect that that they're going to run more coming in windy conditions here. It's going to be pretty windy. I like the under early in the week when it was 37.5. It's trended downward now at 35.5. The better play to me is to play the Baltimore team total under 21.5. So I have that as a best bet there. It's still at that number, even though the spread is ticked down to 6.5. Atlanta has held their last 3 opponents to 21 or less, and Baltimore's offense isn't that dangerous. So I think Baltimore's going to have trouble scoring above 21 in this game.
It's hard to imagine 21 points. Like the Falcons love to drag people down in terms of plays run too. So it is hard to imagine a bunch of plays happening. I mean, 35.5. I think I would lean towards the under there too, but I don't know how you can take. That's so freaking low. 35.5 in an NFL game in 2022. Snoop Huntley, by the way, officially starting per John Harbaugh.
What's the weather going to be like there? It's not going to be as bad, right?
I think they had been saying around 10 to 20 mile per hour winds, so that wouldn't be as bad. But, we're trending upward in that situation. So we'll see if it gets up to the 20 mile per hour range where you start to look at it as being pretty, limiting.
I mean, both of these teams, it's like they're like, oh, 20 mile per hour wind. You mean we have to run the ball 75 times each? Sounds fantastic. I don't think what are the, I don't know if we have them, they're probably not up yet because it's just, we record this on Thursday, but what do you think the player props will be for pass attempts for Huntley and Ritter. I mean, like,
neither one's going to be above 20, I don't think.
Right, like 17.5. I mean, the problem is, like, you have questionable situations at quarterback like this, and you could end up getting, fumbles, picks, like stuff, something goes to the house the other way, and that's how you end up getting the over. The total goes over, like sloppy weather, bad things happen. Good fact to know: the Falcons haven't won a game with a kickoff temperature of 25 degrees or colder since 1966 against the Vikings at Metropolitan Stadium. How was that as a stadium, Pete?
I never was in that stadium. I can promise you that. I was in the other dump that they had in between, though. God, many a time.
Can you imagine being in there when what if that roof had crashed like during a game? That video, that's like one of the underrated, like, sneaky, there's been a billion bizarre moments in the NFL, but like I just remember it was like Jay Glazers comes on for Fox and he's like, we've got video of the roof collapsing in the Metrodome from the snow, and you see it and you're like, oh my God, can imagine if that game had been going on.
I remember I was it the RCA Dome in Indy before they built the
RCA
new one?
Dome, yeah.
Yeah, and it sounded like the weather was so bad outside. It sounded like that roof was going to blow off one day. It was getting a little hair. It was after the game, but it was getting bad in there.
10 straight games for the Falcons lost in cold weather. Nothing here from me either. Saints at Browns. Browns minus 2.5. Wait, you were hoping that there was a smaller total than 35.5? Well, you're in luck. 32 is the total in this game. I don't remember. What's the lowest total you recall off the top of your head? I mean, 32 is insane, Pete.
It is insane, but what the weather's supposed to be really bad there, though, right? That's supposed to be one of the places where the weather's bad.
I believe, yeah, the weather is going to be bad in Cleveland.
Looking at like 30 mile per hour winds, it looks like. Getting close to that, and that's sustained. Then you get the gust higher than that. Could be a high as 50, 60. It's going to be worse than that Buffalo game last year.
Yeah, well, remember, we've seen stretches like this in Cleveland where, like, it doesn't matter if you've got Dan Marino and Josh Allen playing on like you're not cutting through the wind that's coming off of that lake. And we've seen it before where it's just, I think there was like a 3-game stretch a few years ago where there was really bad weather in Cleveland, and it was like 6-3 finals. So I mean,
but what you worry about here is like if a turnover or something, then you can get beat by that on that thing. But I'm going to take Cleveland here. I think even though Chubb he's questionable, right? I mean, he might not go.
He's cleared.
Is he cleared? Because
he didn't practice the first 2 days of the week, but the injury report came out just before he came on, and they said he was cleared.
Okay, because I think they're just going to pound it, and the Saints don't do anything to me in terms of what they do on offense. Running the ball, they're not a power team. Kamara can run the ball, but they're not a power team. So I'm going to lean to the Browns here minus the 3. I don't love this game at all. I think this is a repulsive. This will be if it ends up 6-3, it wouldn't surprise, or 7-3, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, we sent this out. It was 2.5 and 32.5. I put best bet under 32.5. Love getting Saints at +3 if you can get it, which is where it is right now. Cold and incredibly windy should mean a 12-9 type of game to me. New Orleans outdoors, their best outdoor game for offense was 16 points at Tampa. They've had 14, 13, 10, and 0 outdoors this year. So they average around 10 points a game. Cleveland's offense, 2 touchdowns in 3 games with Watson at quarterback. So you put this in like pristine conditions, it might not get to 30 just with the way these offenses are playing.
They might get 32 in the Superdome.
Right. So, I mean, the New Orleans has a weak conventional rushing attack. They aren't using Kamara as much as they should. They've been doing better at that, I think, lately. But I think in this game, they play Taysom Hill a ton. It just makes sense to put him back there, let him run around, let him do some things where you don't have to throw the ball a ton with him at quarterback. It's going to be Pete's favorite game of the week to watch. He gets to watch the gimmick, at quarterback for a ton. And I think that'll help him out. And Chubb's going to play. Foot injury might still limit him. So I played the under 32.5. I think if you want to wait just to make sure the conditions hold, you could do that because you can't make it low enough. I think it's just a terrible game for scoring. I also put at 2.5 the Saints in 2 teasers. I have 3 teams I like teasing this week, so I have 3 teasers. New Orleans and Tampa is one teaser. Rams and New Orleans is another teaser. And then obviously the other 2 legs we can talk about later.
Oh, that sounds like a desperate man with all the teasers this week.
Just got to do is he's low totals. He's bad weather. I mean, I'm going to kick myself if I don't do it. And all these games finish low total with low totals finish under.
I wish we had the I'll try and find it before the Chiefs game, but the photo of Pete covering the for CBS Sports HQ covering the Chiefs playoff game in the snow.
You know what's amazing though is that actually was the first playoff game that year that I went to there, and the following week was the championship game, I think. And the championship game was 10 times colder than that one. That just so happened that we were doing that and it was snowing outside. It was a little windy.
The championship game didn't have as much snow, right?
No, it didn't have any snow.
But
yeah. Freezing. It was absolutely freezing. Yeah.
It's weird how Kansas City, like, I don't think you generally think of Kansas City as like a place where it's good. You know, I don't know. I mean, like, you know, it's not like Buffalo. Brutal. I don't think of Kansas City as a place that gets really, really, really cold.
You know what's funny though? The 3 coldest games I've ever done.
The Ice Bowl.
There he goes. Ding, got me.
Oh!
Yeah. I was a 6-year-old in the stands. No.
Did you go to the Ice Bowl?
No. The 3 coldest games I ever did were that Chiefs game, which was brutal. The Giants-Packers championship game. Was that the championship game? Yeah. That one was freezing out that day. That wasn't was that the championship game? Yeah. Remember when Coughlin's face was all red?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was the divisional round, I think.
Divisional round. And then the next one was remember the Titans-Patriots played a night playoff game years ago. That was brutal. Those are the 3 coldest. It's on Buffalo and Denver and all the other places, and they were never that cold, but those were the 3 worst.
Anyway, I don't know where we.
Well, we're in weather mode.
No. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just completely lost track of.
You're on Saints Browns. You have a pick for Saints Browns?
I do not have anything. I would probably tail you on that under. I mean, like, you know what? I'm going to tail you on the under because, like, I'll find the 3 games.
Oh no, RJ.
I won't tail you on the under. I'll tail you on the under.
No.
I will privately. I will be betting that under because I remember there's a 3-game stretch in late November, like 2 or 3 years ago, where we got crazy weather in Cleveland. You can't do anything. And I think like they built that stadium. This is very Brownsy. They built that stadium like the opposite direction that you should build it to avoid the weather. They basically built it and like created a wind tunnel. And so like you can't do anything if there's really bad weather in Cleveland. So
yeah, supposedly right now the way the wind's looking is that it's going to run parallel to the stadium. So you're going to have it's just like that Bills Patriots game last year where one team is going to be going directly into the wind and the other's going to be going with it, you know, and so you might get some long field goals that hit, but then you're probably going to have some overthrows. But that's as of now. 48 hours from now, I mean, it shifts a little bit and then all of a sudden it's a crosswind. So
absolutely. All right. Bengals at Patriots. A little bit of weather here as well. Patriots are ice cold, speaking of weather. And the Bengals, the Patriots are just like, I don't know how I mean, it's crazy, man. The Patriots are a poorly coached football team. And it's not surprising because they employ Matt Patricia as their offensive coordinator and Joe Judge as their quarterback's coach. But it's humiliating that 2 guys who are Belichick like proteges, the former special team, like your quarterback coach is a former special teams coach of your own team. And the offense doesn't know what to do in these situations. It's unbelievable. Joe Burrow could, I think, Pete, and I'll be curious to know, we can kind of get into the MVP stuff when we get on the Chiefs and talk Mahomes. But I mean, Joe Burrow goes in here on Christmas Eve at 1:00 and the Bills, the Bills, Bengals, and Chiefs are all playing at 1:00. Joe Burrow goes in here and lights up Belichick. Like this game will probably be seen in a lot of markets nationally because of you get a lot of the Northeast area. You're going to get a lot of the Southeast, I think, on CBS because the Panthers and Washington team are playing later. If Burrow has a huge game here, I think he can really put himself in the MVP conversation. And I like Burrow a lot in this spot.
Yeah, I like Burrow a lot in this spot too. And they're getting Hendrickson back. That's big for their defense. And look, the Patriots, how do you respond off a disaster like that? I mean, it's just guys looking around. What happened? How does that happen? Belichick's ultimately responsible for it because you're the head coach. You got to coach him up. Why did he take a knee, by the way, and go to overtime? What's the difference between taking a knee and handing the ball off? It made no sense to me. All you're doing is risking the fumble or something bad going.
With the amount of time that was on the clock, like a handoff is, unless he jailbreaks it to the house.
Right. He's not going to do that.
Right.
It was ridiculous. It was stupid. And so I don't know how they respond to that. The Bengals are playing back-to-back road games, but I think offensively they're so hard to stop. And this Patriots team isn't good. I mean, they're just not a good in terms of talent. They don't have a ton of talent. So I'm going to take the Bengals minus the points. I don't make it a best bet, but I'll take the Bengals.
I do have the Bengals as a best bet. They're 11-1 against the spread in the last 12. They keep catching for backers, even when it looks bleak, like it did at the first half last week. And they had 3.8 yards per play against Tampa. They were able to come back because they started inside Tampa's 40 on 4 straight drives during that rally, because Tampa just was turning the ball over on downs, turnovers, that type of thing. New England's defense 5th in yards per play, but a lot of their games have come against backup quarterbacks. They let Vegas roll down the field at the end of that game. Questionable touchdown. And everybody argued about it. I'm sure you guys argued about it on the pod on that touchdown with Keelan Cole before you even get to the nonsense of that last play.
True.
So they still let them get down in that position, though. And so I don't know. When they face a good offense like this, how are they going to respond? Their defense is 3rd in sack rate. So if the Cincy offensive line has struggles, and they have been better than second half, but they have had some pockets of not playing well. So they could have some success here if the offense avoids dumb turnovers like Tampa had in that game. But I'm not sure that the offense can do that because it's the New England offense. They just don't look good. So I think New England's defense can have some success, but Burrow gets there in the end, and the New England offense can't keep up. That's why I like Cincy -3. I think this line should be closer to 6.
Yeah, I like Cincy -3 as the best bet as well. It's at -3, -115 on Caesar. You like the Bengals too?
I do, but RJ, I feel bad for RJ because you're following everything he does today.
I wouldn't worry about me at this point. Like, I've got my bets, and and they're not hitting. Like, I'm below 500.
Well, that's why he's worried about. He's worried about you bringing him into your abyss.
Look, the Patriots stink. I don't know how you come back from that loss. Belichick, we're on to Cincinnati. Means you're about to get on to Cincinnati. Like, Cincinnati's about to be on to you, buddy. Like, the Bengals are playing some great football. Joe Burrow's got a good record in cold weather games. I really do think, like, you can get him 7-1 to win MVP in certain spots, 5.5 to 1. What would your MVP ballot look like right now? You got to put down 3 names this year.
As of right now, Hurts is still the leader, but if he doesn't play, that kind of changes things. And it Hurts, Mahomes,
Allen. So Mahomes would be your 2 right now.
Yeah, but Mahomes will overtake him, though, I think.
What would it hurt? Hurts is out for this game, apparently.
Right, but if he doesn't play a couple weeks,
so if he plays one more game this year and they win, like let's say they lose to the Cow, what has to happen?
Like, I think Mahomes is going to have a monster day this week, and I think that's going to kind of.
Well, he's the favorite by a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, all right, like, I guess sort of walk me. Rather than talk about why I'm bad luck tailing or why I think the Bengals will win, walk me through what your headspace is, because you're an MVP voter. I'm not saying reveal your vote, but like, you have to list 3 names. It's different this year.
5.
No, 5. Oh, that's right. 5 for MVP, 3 for everything else. That's a lot more work, by the way. What is your 5 look like right now, and how do you
I don't know how it looks right now, but I'll give you the 5 names. Probably are.
Who's the 5th? Because Burrow's the 4th. Tyreek.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Brock Purdy.
Can't you I mean, seriously, you can make a strong case for Tyreek.
Interesting.
There's no running back you can make a case for.
No. The problem is, like, these quarterbacks are all going to have, like, good enough stretches to close out the season.
I mean, it's Hurts in no order. Hurts, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and
then somebody you pick a 5th. Justin Jefferson, Tyreek. Miles Sanders.
Tua has kind of played himself out of it, hasn't he?
Tua is out, yeah.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson or Tyreek is like your 5th.
I think, and Tyreek has been the more valuable of the guys, I think. So what?
I guess I'm trying to figure out, like, so do you think that the Buffalo Cincinnati game will knock out one of Burrow or Allen?
I mean, it depends. What if they both threw for 600 yards and 6 touchdowns? So you can't say that.
I just don't see a situation where Hurts doesn't play the last 3 games, and then Burrow beats Buffalo and has beaten Buffalo and Kansas City this year and doesn't get MVP. Just to me, it just seems like they rolled at the end of the season, except for those last 2 games. And then he beat the 2 guys he needs to beat going into the playoffs.
But look at his numbers, though. Where his numbers stand, you look at them comparatively speaking. I mean, what if the Eagles go 16-1?
If the Eagles win their last 3 games without Hurts,
Well, what if they win? He comes back. He misses this one, plays the next two, and they go 16-1.
Then it
I think
hurts.
it hurts. Yeah, I'm talking about a situation where
We're saying if he doesn't play
play
for the rest of the regular season or plays
If he doesn't play,
because you're saying like it's Mahomes now, because Mahomes statistically, I mean, give Mahomes offensive player of the year. I mean, that's going to be Tyreek, obviously, but if we're just talking about stats, that's what that award is for, I assume. MVP just seems like Burrow goes out and beats Allen, beats Mahomes, and in that sense, maybe the Bengals are the number 1 seed. I don't see how he doesn't get it at that point.
Yeah,
but
you also have them both at home too, right?
Yep. Well, all right, what if the Bills went out and they're the 1 seed and Hurts doesn't play the rest of the year?
What does Allen do the rest of it? What's his number?
He plays. Like? He balls out. He balls out and looks awesome.
He balls out, then he might end up being the MVP.
See,
I tell you, it's five guys. There's five. Five, and if you
I think there's 4 guys, and then pick your 5th. Like
right.
I mean, Tyreek would have to go nuclear.
Well, it's a quarterback award. Award.
I'm saying that I think it comes down to what team gets the 1 seed in the AFC. If Hurts doesn't play, if Hurts plays one more game and looks fine, he's probably going to get it. Because he's gonna be on everybody's ballot now. It's different.
If you're Hurts, do you do everything you can to play to try and get the MVP?
Yeah, hell yeah, I do.
But within worrying about risking being banged up and not playing in the playoffs or something?
I know. It's a weird situation.
But you know what? You know how I feel about it. What's good for me is good for me. Give me that damn MVP.
MVP is good for me when it comes to contract talks. Lions -2.5 at the Panthers. Over under 44, Pete. Down to 43.5. Weather in Carolina is going to be kind of nasty, but I don't. It's not going to be like northeast weather. Just be gross. Jared Goff,
I can't.
Back-to-back.
I had a hard time with this game. The Lions are playing consecutive road games. The Panthers didn't look good last week at all. They couldn't run the ball. The Lions have been really good against the run lately. So I'm probably going to take the Lions minus the 2.5. I don't love this game. Anytime Carolina games are hard to pick for me. They really are. I have a tough time with that team, but I'm going to take the Lions minus the small number.
I have Lions as a best bet, -2.5. Detroit's offense looked like they took a step back last week in cold weather, but that was against the elite Jets defense. It was the most yards the Jets defense allowed since week 2 and the most pass yards they allowed since week 3. So what looks like a bad game in the context of the Lions is actually a good game in terms of who has played the Jets this year. Carolina's defense, obviously easier to solve than the Jets defense. Middle of the pack in yards per play, 25th in sack rate. Carolina's offense only had 209 yards against Pittsburgh because you're right, they couldn't run the ball. Detroit's defense has allowed just 50 rush yards to the Jets, to the Jets, and 22 to Minnesota the week before. Their run defense playing really well, to Pete's point. Their defense also has 8 sacks in the last 2 games. So this is an easier matchup for Darnold this week after what he went through against Pittsburgh, but it's not really easy because the Detroit defense is playing well. So if Detroit is a good team, and I think they've proven now that they are a good team, in top 10 in my power ratings, +1.5 above average, then they should be able to beat a bad team on the road, laying less than 2.5. So I love Detroit here.
I have no idea what to do with this game. It's a great point on the Jets, though. Like the Lions are just good. I really want them to get in the playoffs. The only concern is now I really want the Packers to get in the playoffs now too. So I don't know whether I want the Packers or the Lions are like the happier feel-good story. The Packers with Aaron Rodgers getting in would be potentially financially much more interesting for me. Took the Packers to win the NFC title, 100-1. Why not?
When did you do that?
Before Monday Night Football.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get the Packers in a minute. Anyway, whatever. I think the Lions probably win, but it wouldn't shock me if Carolina pulled an upset here. Two back-to-back road games in nasty weather for the Lions. Used to play in that dome. Texans at the Titans. Titans -3. Another robust total. Over under 35.5. Titans get a little bit of steam here. Ryan Tannehill reportedly, I don't think it's official yet. It's reportedly out for the year. It's expected he's done for the season. Malik Willis the rest of the way. This is a Titans defense and Derrick Henry special, Pete.
Yeah, look, he's going to run for a bunch of yards, but I think the Texans are playing better, and I just can't trust Malik Willis here. I like the Texans anyways in this game, and the number was, 5, and it dropped to 3. Didn't it, with that news? I think it dropped from 5 to 3.
Yeah, it's -3, -120.
Yeah, it was like 5 when it wasn't sure who was going to start, and then it's 3. Yeah. Like it was 8.5 on the look ahead, 7 when he was hurt.
This game means nothing to the Titans. Nothing. It means 0.
What?
Doesn't. They can lose the next 2 and they beat Jacksonville and they win the division.
Yeah, but if the Jaguars lose, we don't know what happened on Thursday when people are listening to this podcast.
But I'm saying all they have to do is win the last game of the year, and they're in the playoffs. Period.
But you can get in the playoffs without.
Yeah, you can.
Sooner than that.
Yeah, I get it, but I just think when you look at the Titans, I think they're playing bad football. I don't know what the Chargers did last week. That was a disaster. They went against that defense and had 14 points until that laser shot down the field late in the game. It was terrible, but they chargered. But I'm going to take the Texans plus the point. Best bet. I think they hang around in this game. Malik Willis has to show it to me before I can back him.
I have best bet the other way. Titans -3. Tennessee outgained Houston 354 yards to 161, and that was with Willis at quarterback in that game. That first game, it was his first start. Had 40 net pass yards. Didn't have to do anything because Derrick Henry ran all over Houston. They had over 300 rushing yards in the game as a team. Tennessee's offense has scored more than 17 just twice since week 5. So I mean, I can understand this low total, even if the weather isn't a mitigating factor here, because they haven't been playing well. Houston does continue to fight, but they were outgained by Kansas City in yardage, 502 yards to 219. So the score really didn't reflect how the game went. I mean, they got beat up and down the field and just happened to be close once the score and got to overtime somehow. Tennessee won in Houston, nearly won in Kansas City with Willis at quarterback. I'm not writing them off as a win here, even though he's not going to do anything as a passer. I mean, with the weather, you probably don't want him doing much as a passer anyway. So I think Titans will win. I think this number got a little too far down. I would have left it at the 4.5-5 range.
I got Titans -3 as a best bet too. Sorry, RJ. Just such as life. Look, I like the Titans. I like the Bengals this week. Here's the deal. Derrick Henry, career stats against the Tennessee Titans. Excuse me, against the Houston Texans. 11 games, 202 carries, 1,254 yards. That's 6.2 yards per carry, 11 touchdowns, 114 yards per game. And that is, if you include, that's including when the Titans erroneously didn't use him early in his career, a game of 3 carries with 9 yards, a game of 15 carries for 65 yards in the final game of the season in his rookie season, a game of 6 carries for 7 yards. Weird. I guess J.J. Watt was still there or something. And then he finally had a big game against him in his 4th game, 11 carries, 109 yards, which is almost 10 yards per carry. He destroys this team. They are horrible against the run. They know you say it doesn't mean anything to him. I think it does mean something to him. Like they got it. They're on a skid, man. Four straight losing games. You fired your GM. You you lose your quarterback. There's one guy you can do. You've heard Mike Vrabel say it in the locker room. He's like, we have something that no one else in this league has. Derrick Henry. This is a Derrick Henry explosion game, and I think he has 200 plus rushing yards. Take the over on his rushing yards all the way up to 200, and then we buy people presents.
Yeah, you see all they have to do is win the last game at Jacksonville, but if they lose back-to-back, especially one of them to Houston, at home with Malik Willis at quarterback, they don't feel good going into that Jacksonville game. So
no, I know, but I mean, I'm saying on paper, that's all they have to do.
Right, but like, couldn't they can win.
Yes, they can lock it up before that. Yes.
It's just you can't flip the switch off and then play badly and then flip the switch on for that last game, I don't think, and have any confidence.
But, I mean, they haven't played well in 5 weeks.
If you look at the Titans, I'm trying to get there. If you look at who they played this year, it was like, sorry, I should bring it up. They lost to the Giants and the Bills early on. They beat the Raiders, Colts, Commanders, Colts again, Texans, Broncos, and then they beat the Packers, which is like, that's basically their best win. They haven't beaten anybody that is a playoff caliber team yet this season. They're secretly like, we thought they were good, and Vrabel's doing a great job coaching them. And maybe he is, but like they're not a good team.
No, they're not a good team. They're not. However, they have a bad offensive line too.
Texans are a worse team though.
Yeah,
Derrick Henry's going to run wild in this one. I like the Titans. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, Patrick Mahomes laid 10 points against Pro Bowl caliber quarterback Geno Smith. What? Next. The Chiefs -10 against the Seahawks. Geno Smith. Congrats, Geno. Eugene Cyril Smith III made his first Pro Bowl. Pump for him. Good for him. Good for the voters. Shame on the Pro Bowl voters for not putting Christian McCaffrey in. That's my only real complaint, I think. Oh, and there's somebody for James Bradbury maybe for the Eagles deserves to be in, but we're nitpicking here. Yeah, just saying. 8 Eagles in there on the Pro Bowl teams. Chiefs laying 10. This is a huge number, Pete. Total 49.5.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to the total. I'm going to take the over. I know the weather. I looked at the weather. Like we said early in the show, it's not going to be that bad there. It's going to be cold, but it's not going to be windy. And I think when you look at that Seattle defense, they've taken their typical step back that we didn't think they would take after midway through the season when they got better. They're back to being not good. And I think the Chiefs will come home after 2 lackluster road games and show off. And Seahawks will get some, because Chiefs defense isn't playing well either. I think the Seahawks will get some big plays down the field as well. So I'll take the over 49 as a best bet for me.
Yeah, Chiefs gave up 52 points combined at Denver and Houston last 2 weeks. I mean, what are you doing? If you're supposed to be a Super Bowl contender, you just can't do that against those 2 teams. They need to stop turning the ball over, give teams short fields like they did to Denver to let them back in that game. With Seattle, the only game Seattle's lost by more than 7 were against the elite San Francisco defense. The Chiefs aren't at that level right now. I think they can backdoor cover if they need it. 10 is way too many now that it's got up to 10. My lean is to Seattle. I'm probably going to play Seattle. I just want to see if it goes up anymore. 10.5 would be great to get here, even though my power ratings say the line should be a little higher. I just think Seattle has backdoor potential with Geno, even with Tyler Lockett out, and the Chiefs defense isn't playing well enough to cover these big numbers.
Yeah, the 10's too much. Not a best bet or anything for me, and I tend to like the over as well with Pete talking about. But I mean, it's one of those lines where it's like, so your power ratings have it. It should be like more than 10.
I have it 11.5. I have the Chiefs as let me look at it right now. I have the Chiefs as 7.5 points above average. Seattle at -2.5 because that defense is playing bad. They have the Lockett injury, and then you throw in Chiefs home field, that gets it to 11.5 for me.
Man, I mean, you just have to. I think in 2022, especially if you got weather concerns, you just have to take the 10 points. Like, I mean, you just don't see that many blowouts. We saw a team up by 33 and they lost. Like,
do you see last week? I believe it was 15. The first 15 games all finished within 11 points. And it was the first time ever that had 15 games within 11 points.
Insane.
Yeah,
so
it would have broke. The Packers were 12, weren't they?
Yeah, it would have broken the record if the Packers had done it too, and then it was 12. So
and whether they missed extra or to the Rams missed an extra point too.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the Packers sat on the ball at the end of the game too at the half-yard line.
Right. I mean, yes, to the disturbance of many DFS players and fantasy players with Aaron Jones. And one of those games, Chiefs up 27-0 at halftime. Like this team is not, the defense not playing the way that they need it to. They will let Geno sling it around. My dad has a fantasy question. He's not in the chat or anything. He just asked me. I'm curious what you guys think. Ken Walker or David Montgomery?
I would say Walker. I believe Herbert's coming back, so Montgomery's going to split. Fields is going to get his rushing yards too, so it's going to be a run-heavy game playing for Chicago anyway. There's just a lot of sharing there, where Ken Walker probably isn't sharing at all.
Does Walker need to practice on Thursday? Because the game is Saturday.
If he's not questioned, I mean, if he's active, then play him. If he isn't active, then play the other guy.
Okay, so if he's active, play Walker. If not,
yeah. You know how teams go in to play the Chiefs do? They say, "Oh, we're going to run the ball to keep them off the field."
Yeah,
that always backfires.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Andrew talking about Pete Carroll, who's just not afraid to run the football. But I mean, Walker's pretty involved in the passing game too, like relatively speaking. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. Commanders at the 49ers. Niners -7. Get a little juice on the Commanders there. Over under 38 for us. It's dipped down to 37.5. I can't imagine that the bomb cyclone is getting all the way out to San Francisco. This is just a game between Brock Purdy and Taylor Heineke and two pretty good defenses, right?
Well, the 49ers defense is great. I mean, they played like they have 12 guys on the field. It's absolutely incredible. They cover so much. I read
that line in your power rankings. I like that.
They play so much. They cover so much ground. I mean, it's almost – it's a lot like those old Seattle defenses. When you can rush with, 4 and the linebackers can fly and run to the ball, you cover the whole field, and that's what they do. So I think that, look, Heineke's been a little shaky. You're hearing rumblings that he might be replaced. They've mentioned that possibility.
Wentz?
Yeah.
I don't think they want to give up that second-round pick for Wentz. If they play Wentz anymore,
you have to. If you're in a playoff race, you might. Yeah. And so I think I'm going to take the 49ers. I'm not going to lay the 7. I'm going to close it out as one of them, the other part of my teaser, and lay it -1. 49ers -1.
So your teaser is Ravens and 49ers, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
My lean is Washington +7, just with such a low total. I think it's hard to cover a big number. Washington's offense having trouble scoring touchdowns consistently, and they're up against this elite San Francisco defense that Pete's talking about. But Washington's defense is getting Chase Young back. First game, that's going to give them a lift, having him back on the field. And they already haven't given up more than 21 points since week 4. So I don't think the San Francisco offense could run away even without Chase Young on the field. Now it's going to make it difficult for Purdy. He's been good. I thought maybe he'd come back to earth on the road in his first road start last week. Didn't really happen. So I'm not projecting he's going to be terrible or anything. I just think that Washington defense is good enough to make this total seem, right, at 37.5 now. And it's just hard to cover that big of a number here. So I think Washington could score 13 and just play good defense and maybe cover this number. So I would lean Washington, but I don't have it as a best bet.
Yeah, it's an ugly game. 49ers defense, man. I mean, they're unbelievable. They really are unbelievable. And Heineke, the way that Heineke plays too, like you said, he could steal something on the back door, but he's also like completely unafraid to give the ball up, and the Niners will flip it on you very quickly in terms of a turnover. I'll pass in the game, but I think I leaned Commanders +7 just because, again, 7 points in this league, hashtag this league in 2022, just feels like the move to make. Raiders and Steelers. Golly, these games. Steelers -2.5, a total of 38.5. Derek Carr. Is this a weather game, RJ? So it has to be a weather game, right?
It's going to be cold, below freezing temperatures. Derek Carr is terrible, below 40 degrees, and especially below freezing. 4 starts in his career, lost all of them. Statistics are bad. I don't know that the wind's going to be as massive as in other games. I believe it's projected in that 10 to 15 mile an hour range. So the wind won't destroy passing games, but it just Derek Carr in the cold. You love fading that situation.
Okay. Yep. Pete, you gonna back the Steelers here?
Yes, I am. Look, it's going to be an emotional night for the Steelers, with all the Franco Harris stuff and the retirement and everything else. But I think, the outside stuff, the Raiders, that's not who they are. I mean, I just think that Carr is going to wilt and that defense played outstanding last week against Carolina. They're getting back to what they were. I know the Raiders are a better offense, but I'm going to take the Steelers -2.5. Not a best bet, but I like them.
I have Steelers -2.5 as a best bet. Can't wait for that George Pickens massive catch that he's going to make, and everybody's going to Franco Harris, immaculate reception, yada yada, and then George Pickens is just going to have the best catch of the year. He's going to be feeling it there. New England's offense ran all over Vegas's defense. Pittsburgh's offense has 150 plus rush yards, 3 of their last 4. The run game should be better with Kenny Pickett back under center here as well. Vegas defense excelled on third down against New England, 2 of 13. Pittsburgh's offense was 12 of 16 on third down versus Carolina, and they're 8th on third down rate on the year. So I think that they have the edge here. Pittsburgh's defense elite versus the run. That puts the ball in Carr's hands where he's, terrible in freezing temperatures. Pittsburgh also has the huge coaching advantage here, even though, McDaniels is kind of hit or miss in terms of coaching. You kind of need somebody to melt away on the other side of the field for him to get a win, like in that Patriots game. So I think everything points here to Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh winning this. Well, it's whatever's going on there, but. So I think Pittsburgh wins this game -2.5. Love that it's down to 2.5 again. So I have it as a best bet.
Yeah, give me Pittsburgh as well. Cold weather. Derek Carr. It's an auto. I used to think Jared Goff was the same way, and I still not totally sold that he's not. But I mean, it makes sense. Like you grew up playing in California in high school, and then you play in college in California, and then you spend your pro career playing in California and move to Vegas, you don't see that many of these cold weather games. And as we point out, his record in the cold weather is just terrible. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's tough to play in the cold weather. And when you're a Cali boy, Pittsburgh, emotionally charged, blue collar town against a Cali boy.
I'm telling you, that's going to be a big deal for them. Those people love Franco, man.
Yeah, that place will be loud, dude. Packers at the Dolphins. Stinky line here, Pete. Dolphins -4, a total of 49.5 that has actually creeped up. Aaron Rodgers pointed out he is very excited about playing in Miami on Christmas. And he has, to me, Pete, a little glint, a look in his eye that says, I know if I go down to Miami and win, I got 2 games at home against division rivals that I have dominated for the past decade plus to possibly get into the playoffs. You see the same look?
I do. I see it. Absolutely see it. And Look, I know he wasn't great the other night, but you're starting to see it. He knew exactly what they had coming up. He mentioned it in his post-game press conference. He's well aware. He's mentioned 2010. Remember, they got on a run, and they won their last two, got in and got hot. So he's well aware of that. I just don't like the way the Miami defense plays. I think he's going to have a lot of points. I was going to take over here as well, but I stayed away from it because I have another over. But I'm going to take the Packers plus the 4 here. I think they hang around this game. I do think it gets loose. And I think it's going to be a little high scoring, but I'll take the Packers plus the 4.
Yeah, I can see the arguments for both sides here. My power rating has Miami -6, so I'm leaning that way, but I just don't want to lock it in with Miami playing well below where, and that rating is I had it a lot higher a few weeks back when Tua was healthy, and still concerns with him. I mean, they didn't have to do a ton in that Buffalo game. It was all the ground game, and Green Bay is 30th in rush yards per play on defense against the run. So I think they should go back to that. They had a similar matchup advantage against the Chargers there, and they didn't take advantage of it. So who knows if that's going to be the plan. But Green Bay's defense coming off a great game. It was against possibly the worst offense in the league with the with the Rams injuries all around. They had allowed 400 plus yards in 4 straight prior, including against Tennessee and Chicago, not exactly, shootout type of teams. So I think Miami can do whatever it wants offensively, probably in this game. Green Bay's offense wasn't that impressive against the Rams, but of course, like you said, sat on the lead. Miami's defense could leave the back door open. That's why I didn't want to make it a best bet at -4. But if it gets down to 3.5, I'm going to be thinking about it.
I got Packers as a best bet. I think they win outright. Rodgers, you heard me in the post-game press conference, like both of them. He's talking to Lisa Salter. She's like, your last 3 opponents all above 500. Goes, one's 500. She was like, wait, what? And he's like distinctly talking about the Lions. He gets up to the podium after that. And he's like, some of us, maybe like to look ahead. When you get the bye, you get a little time off. You're checking out the standings. He's like, you see a little path that way. And then the article comes out from Kalen Kaler of The Athletic talking about Aaron Rodgers' signals and how it's difficult to be a rookie wide receiver with the Packers and how Rodgers, I don't want to.
He called it a nothing burger.
He called right, exactly. I'm not trying to litigate whether or not it was anything about the article about Rodgers, but Rodgers goes on Pat McAfee's show, calls it a nothing burger and horse bleep, and McAfee actually did a breakdown, video breakdown of reading it out loud. The point being is you made Aaron Rodgers mad, and he was already motivated anyway to try and sneak in the playoffs. I just think. I know that we're not supposed to say, well, it's just when Rodgers is acting like this, the Packers are winning games.
If they win Sunday, they're in because I think they win the next 2 at home.
I concur, and I think he knows that. And it's Christmas, and he's got a little swagger about him. Give me the Packers plus 4, best bet. Broncos -2.5 at the Rams.
Oh no! Now you're trailing mine.
This one's getting a little steamed up. Might get to 3. Broncos -2.5. Pete. Oh, this is the Nickelodeon game. Make sure you get Paramount Plus. Use you get first month free probably if you sign up. I don't know if there's a promo.
Yeah,
code.
because the game should be covered in slime.
Yeah, Pete. Do you know how awesome it would be if Russell Wilson plays in this game and having never gotten an MVP vote, having definitely not getting one this year, despite the fact that it's expanded to 5 names, and he wins an MVP and gets slimed all over him in a totally meaningless fashion. I feel like he might decline the MVP.
No, that would be classic cheese for him. He would be he'd bask in it.
I don't know, man.
Come on, he would bask in it.
Broncos country, let's slime.
Yeah, let's slime. Give me a break.
I hope he says that. That'd be great.
Look, the Rams aren't good right now. Everybody knows that. They are home though. And what are the Broncos playing for? Nothing. So in this scenario, when you got Christmas Day, you got a team that's playing for nothing. You got one that's also playing for nothing, but at least they're home. And you're going to give me points. I'm going to take the Rams as a best bet. I think McVay's a better coach. I'm going to take +2.5 in the Rams.
Yeah, if it gets to 3, I like the Rams too. I have them as a teaser, teasing them with both the Bucs in one teaser and the Saints in the other teaser. Denver was losing 6-3 at home at halftime to a bad Arizona defense. Colt McCoy gets hurt early third quarter. They're able to win that game, when the Arizona kind of gives up. Second time in a row and their quarterback gets hurt. Rams offense just 156 yards against a mediocre Green Bay defense. That Baker buzz seemed to be premature. It died down pretty quickly after that game. But if McVay isn't an awful coach, if he's a good coach, like Pete's saying, Rams have the coaching advantage here and they have home field advantage. And I don't think you can lay points with Denver on the road with how they've played this year. So I think the best bet's to tease the Rams up to 8.5. And if it does get to 3, I would like the Rams then.
All in. RJ's all in on Baker Mayfield.
Love him.
And Ben Skoranek. Or Skoranek out now too?
He's hurt.
Golly, can't catch a break. You win the Super Bowl. I mean, it's probably the worst record ever post Super Bowl, but you take it if you win the Super Bowl. All
2-2 Atwell game.
I do think it could be a 2-2 Atwell game. It's supposed to be on. Freaking that pass interference probably cost me in showdown, man. Come on. Just go back and catch the ball. 2-2. Bucs minus 7.5 at the Cardinals, over under 40.5. Tom Brady in the below 500 Bucs laying more than a touchdown on the road against Trace McSorley. Welcome to week 16, everybody.
Yeah, I don't have the best bet on this game, but I'm victim of this, and I know everybody else is too. At some point, the Bucs are going to get it going. At some point, Tom Brady's going to look like Tom Brady. Well, he hadn't yet. Maybe this is the game. So if I had to pick it, and I don't have the best bet on it, I'm going to take the Bucs minus the points. I'm not taking Trace McSorley.
Yeah, I gave up on that thread of the Bucs are going to turn it around like 6 weeks ago. At some point they are what they are. But this is a fair line with McSorley at quarterback. Tampa Bay's defense allowed just 3.8 yards per play against Cincinnati. Problem is those turnovers on those 4 consecutive drives, they allowed 24 points on just 96 yards. And you're not going to do that against the Cardinals. Tampa Bay's offense not going to turn over the ball a ton here against a mediocre Arizona defense that's toast. Nothing to play for. Third string quarterback in. McSorley has 3 interceptions and 29 pass attempts and was bad in the preseason. So, I mean, this is Tampa Bay defensive touchdown and covering pretty easily, I think. But at 7.5, I would have laid it, before it got to the 7.5. Arizona 1-6 at home, down to third string quarterback. They're going to get hammered. So tease it with the Rams, tease it with the Saints, and those are my 3 teasers.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, by the way, the Tom Brady stuff reminds me of the that Arrested Development meme where it's like Tobias and Lindsay are talking, and he's like, I advise many of my clients. He's like, I told my clients to try this open relationship. She's like, well, did it work for them? No, it never worked for them, but it might work for us. Like, I keep telling myself every week that Tom Brady's going to flip a switch, and I do think if they get in the playoffs, he can do something. That's Tom Brady. Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. I wouldn't want to be playing Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs.
So if the Cowboys go to the Bucs in week one of the playoffs, you're going to take the Bucs?
To win?
I might. I might.
I might too. Probably, I think I have to at this point, just for like brand awareness, because I've been beating this drum. Ryan Wilson's been like thrashing me every week on the pod. He's like, "Oh my gosh, you're going to tell me how Tom Brady can win?" I'm like, "Well, it's Tom Brady. Tom Brady, like, he gets in the playoffs. It's Tom Brady."
Is it though? Have we seen Tom Brady? At any point this year?
Physically, It is Tom Brady.
Yeah.
The person inhabiting that body is Tom Brady, correct? But it
is possible he's been inhabited by aliens for the last 20 years and they finally left. All right, let's get through some quick hitters. Bills at the Bears, over under 40. Gross. Actually ticked up half a point. It's gonna be man.
I would lean to the Bills, but I'll tell you what, after what happened with the Eagles last week, because I had them, I thought they would cover that number. They got the back door. I'll take Buffalo, but I don't love it.
I like the Bears earlier in the week at +9, at +8. It's just a lean there. I don't really want to tease the Bills, and what's going to be an extreme weather game. Winds could be nearly as bad as the Browns game. That's 32.5 total, and this is 40.5. So it seems like under is a pretty good play here, especially if you want to play the Buffalo side of it, since their number is going to be a lot higher because they're favored by a lot. Buffalo's won by more than 8 just once since week 8. Their defense struggled with Miami's rush offense. I don't know what they're going to do against the Chicago rush offense. So I would lean to the Bears. I would lean to the under.
Yeah. Same, no best bet here. I got Josh Allen MVP futures from before the season, and I added some more recently. So I would like Josh Allen to have a monster game here. I think he can. Bears defense not good. I also think. Do you think with the Jalen Hurts injury that the Bills will try to be? I mean, not that, like. Does it make them more cognizant about trying not to? Okay.
No.
They're trying to win games. They're in a battle for the number 1 seed.
True. Yeah. I mean, look, battle for the number 1 seed. This game's at 1:00, man. Same time. I'm telling you, them and the Chiefs and the Bengals, somebody's going to pull ahead in that MVP race, especially if Jalen Hurts doesn't play. Speaking of Hurts, Eagles at the Cowboys. Cowboys -5, up to 5.5 now. Total 47, up to 47.5. Gardner Minshew, Pete. I know you want to back him. Minshew Mania returns.
No, I take the Cowboys here. Look, I just think the Eagles' offense changes entirely. It's a different offense with Minshew in the game. He can't run. So the run game might be limited a little bit. And so I'll take the Cowboys. They have to show something. They haven't been very good the last couple of weeks. I don't love this game, but I would lean to the Cowboys.
I dropped Philly to +3 in my power rating. Still seems kind of high. I had them as number 1 team in the league. Let's see, +3 seems high. That's where I have San Francisco. And I don't know if you can argue that Brock Purdy's better than Gardner Minshew. He has the experience. He's been able to win games there. To me, that rating makes the line -6. So slight value on the Cowboys at this number. But I just think that the supporting cast is so good around Gardner Minshew and Philly, both on offense and defense, even if he's not running the same offense. It's just they can't be laying that many points. So I would lean to Philly at +5.5. Third straight road game for Philly, but they can cover against the spread as dogs. Miami just did that against Buffalo when they were laying too many points or catching too many points in that game.
I got Eagles as the best bet. Too many points. Overreaction. I'd like to get like the 7 that was out there before it came flying back. I'd probably wait on it if it creeps up a little bit just because of once because Hurts officially out. I think Billy said he is officially out.
Yes.
Okay, he's officially out. All right. So maybe it just sits at 5.5. 5.5 and 5.5 is fine. This team's just good. The team is loaded, and Minshew's fine. Minshew's capable. They can do some stuff that they do with Hurts. They can pound Miles Sanders. They'll stay with the Cowboys. Nothing would be a bigger slap in the face to the Cowboys, who had looked ahead past the Jaguars for this game, then beating them with their backup quarterback and really sending Jerry Jones into a Christmas tailspin. Chargers, -4.5 at the Colts. Over under 46. That total has dropped down 0.5 point. Looks like the Chargers might creep up to 5 here, Pete.
Yeah, the greatest accident in the history of the league is back playing quarterback again for the Indianapolis Colts. That's what he is, Nick Foles. He's an accident. It was one 2-game run, and everybody thinks thought he was Jacksonville overpaid him like idiots. He's not very good. He's not any better than Matt Ryan. I'm going to take the Chargers here. And I don't love the game. Here's why. At some point, do the Chargers charger? Didn't last year they chargered against Houston on the road late in the was at week 16 last year, 17, right? They lost. Didn't they lose to the Texans on the road last year? Had no business doing that. But I'm still going to take him here because I think that the Colts are that bad, and I think that they've packed it in after what happened last week.
Chargers' biggest winning margin since week 4 is 6 points, and that week 4 game was against the Texans. They're just unable to blow out teams. They play down to the level of competition all the time. And you can stick a fork in Indy after that historic collapse, no Taylor at running back, changing quarterbacks. But the Chargers just don't run away from teams. So I don't see Indy scoring a lot here, so I'm just going to assume Chargers don't score a lot. My lean would be to the under.
Oh, you're getting booed because you're fading the Colts and Nick Foles. Can we get over Nick Foles? This guy, I mean, by the way, you watched New Heights, the Kelsey podcast, or listen to New Heights, the Kelsey podcast? It's really good. They were doing who's the best all-time Super Bowl MVP, and Jason Kelsey proceeded to make a 30-second Nick Nick it was the way that he made the joke. You're like, okay, I see. That is not an urban legend, Mr. Kelsey. I would lean Chargers too. You know why? Because Nick Foles is Nick Foles. He ain't winning anything on Monday night. Get out of here. Boo me away. Or don't boo me. Whatever. I don't have anything for a revenge parlay. Got any look aheads for next week, RJ?
Yeah, since he is +1.5 at home against Buffalo, since he's 11-1 against the spread, like I said earlier, I don't see why they're home dogs against anyone, even against Buffalo. I have him as a 0.5 point behind Buffalo in power ratings, getting 1.5 points for home field. It should be -1. I don't see how they should be underdogs, especially 1.5 in that matchup.
Dig it. All right, Pete's best bets: Packers +4, Chiefs. Oh, look at that, Billy, elevating his game. Packers +4, Chiefs Seahawks over 49. Giants +4, a teaser with the 49ers -1 and the Ravens -1, Rams +2.5, Texans +3. I mentioned the Billy thing. You can see our best bets on YouTube if you are so inclined to do that. YouTube.com/pick6. All episodes there, streaming live all the time. RJ's best bets: Tennessee -3, Cincy -3, Detroit -2.5, Pittsburgh -2.5, Saints Cleveland under 32.5, Baltimore team total under 21.5, three teasers: New Orleans + Tampa Bay, the Rams plus the New Orleans. So the Saints plus the Bucs, the Rams plus the Saints, the Rams plus the Bucs. A little round. Is that a round robin teaser technically?
Pretty much, yeah.
Can you make that? Can you put that in in a way that would turn into like a multi-level parlay? Round robin parlays are fun.
You just put in 3 separate teasers. I mean, you can put in all the 3 teasers together, and I believe it's plus 140, 160, somewhere around there. But yeah. I'd rather just do three legs, expect to win at least 2 of them, and be positive anyway.
Gotcha. And my best bets: Bengals -3, Titans -3, Steelers -2.5, Packers +4, and Eagles +5. Very simple card. That's like a super contest card for me. 5-0 this week. Guarantee it, or your money back. That'll do it for us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Happy holidays to you and yours. May you finally dodge a lump of coal this year, Pete.
No, it's coming. It comes every year.
For Pete, for RJ, I'm Brinson. Happy holidays, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Santa! Oh my God! Santa here? I know him.
See you guys later.
See ya.